Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today on our call, we have back the CEO, Hadi Abassi, and the team from Atlas Engineered Products. Atlas trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol AEP, and it also trades on the OTC under AEPUF. The company is currently trading at $1.20 with about 58 million shares outstanding, or about a $69 or $70 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Hey, thanks a lot, Trevor. Really excited to have Hadi back. Hadi, it's been what, an hour since I spoke to you last, maybe less?
Yeah, way less.
Yeah, there you go. We've been pretty busy. Just for disclosure, we've got the team from Atlas here, but I'm also a director of the company. I think most of you know that, but I just want to be clear that we're going to have a discussion today about the company. I'm going to probably chime in more than I should, more than I usually do. Because I think we're all part of the same team, so I can't help myself in most cases. But happy to have Hadi here. Obviously, we've got him here because of a pretty major development here in the last sort of week to 10 days. Largest acquisition the company's ever had in its history. As a matter of fact, larger than all the other acquisitions combined, I believe. So there's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna dive right into it, but sort of before we get into that, maybe Hadi, just give a description for those that aren't familiar with the company. Give a description of what Atlas Engineered Products is all about.
So first of all, thank you, Paul, and thank you for everybody who making this call on a Friday before the long weekend. I appreciate it. And for me, it looks like a homecoming because we started for majority people on your group being shareholders at Atlas. And as we talked last year, I think at that time we were around 47 cents per share. So I'm hoping everybody is still hold on to the shares and they made a couple of dollars. So I'm happy about that. And really, Atlas Engineered Products, we design, engineer, and manufacture components for construction. We design and manufacture roof trusses, floors, wall panel, and we ship them to the sites, and that's what we do.
Perfect. So part of the business is not just the manufacturing piece of it is obviously how we generate the revenue and profits and stuff, but the growth in this business has been twofold, right? You're growing organically, you're growing through M&A. We've done 7 acquisitions to date, I believe. If I'm starting to lose count, we're starting to do so many.
Yeah,
right?
We are 8 of us right now.
Eight projects across the country. Yeah. Why don't we just dive into sort of the latest acquisition, and maybe we can talk about sort of the ongoing M&A strategy. But why LCF? Why New Brunswick? What's got you excited about this opportunity?
Okay, there were many different points into LCF, the excitement about the LCF. Not just their top revenue and margin is one of the best margins we have ever seen. And the location, like we always wanted to be in Maritime. Maritime is a great part of the Canada. It's huge, growing population, and an amazing culture, and people live there, that they go live there to work and raise family. And it's an area that we wanted to be there. It's because if you look at it, we're going to be all in every province, but the one that you shut your eyes and you wish you're going to be there and have a presence, Maritime was one of them. Then this company come around with the type of products they manufacture, the location they are, the size they are, the revenue they produce, and the margin, and the culture in the business is phenomenal. Like it's an absolutely old, almost over 50 years old business, family-run business, and not just because of the owners that they were brothers, that their father passed it on to them. It's there not only because of the kids and grandchildren in the business. Everybody in that business is a part of a family. Look, I have never seen when you do an M&A, most times employees read the news, especially with our news, you announce the deal and the dollar, And some of the employees, they have resentment. Oh, the guy got few $1,000,000 and that's it, he's gone. Everybody was happy for the owners. They were in tears and excited for the owners that they deserve it. They finally get to retire. Like, I have never seen anything like it, honestly. And aside from that, the serious side, we look at products, what they manufacture, right? Like, I've always seen it. I've been in construction for over 35 years, and I knew there is one day, because of the demand on the housing, shortage of labor, and Canada is a growing country, and in the last few years, it's grown immensely, and it's going to grow, and it creates its own population. So we are not a big country with a small population. We're growing. There is going to be a major demand for pre-component manufactured homes to be shipped on the job site and have one group of laborers. They don't have to be crazy skilled laborers, and they can put the whole thing together in less than 3 days. And it was always about, we ship trusses, floors, and wall panels. Send them to the job site. Once the foundation is ready, put it all together in 3 days, put the windows and doors in, and there you got your lockup package. The house is locked, everything else will get done fast. And they're already doing that. They've been doing it for many, many years. Like, it was the most amazing, exciting thing to see that on a truck, they have all the products being shipped together. And that is, to me, like, it was like you keep dreaming about the future, and the future is here. They are doing it. Mm-hmm. And then what it does, you can always talk about dreams and possibilities. Then all of a sudden you see your own team, your own group. Once they see it, they taste it, and somebody's doing it, then they are not worried about it. And it's actually reality. Mm-hmm. This is happening in the country. Now, we take that technology and then we build our footprint stronger the rest of the country. We'll be in each province, 1 or 2 or 3 operations in each different areas in the country. Then you go national coverage. And there's a synergies going to be all between driving 8 to 10 hours of each other. Then you will start having the synergy back and forward, and you help each other out. And that is a major force. And that's when the dream comes about. And the revenue will not just increase twice as much. If the revenue will increase 5, 6, 7 times, but just what you have exists in operation. Mm-hmm. And we bring a solution to the construction industry. We can provide a better, cheaper home and faster homes for the clients and the end user.
Hadi, why don't we talk about that a little bit more? Because I think that's an important piece for the whole sort of operations across the country, is just that. I mean, we're hearing over and over again in the news, even more recently, about the population explosion that we've got in Canada. We're undercounting the amount of people that are coming into the country. There clearly is an affordability crisis for housing. There's a shortage of housing. We keep talking about the ability to sort of bring more houses to the market, but you can't do that if you don't have the skilled labor, if you don't have the efficiency to be able to bring those houses. And how does, I really want everybody to understand sort of the efficiency or the ability to increase productivity by using prefabrication. So give us a sense. If somebody's going to go and get this complete package, walls, floors, and roof trusses, how fast does that change the installation once those products get on site?
Well, if you imagine when a builder, developer, they start a project, right? So that's after all the permit and all the bureaucratic red tape they go through. First, they got to excavate the land. They got to put the footing in, the foundation in. Then they got to order the lumber. They got to have a skilled framing crew, a skilled carpenters on the site to put that together. Now, Canada, the weather is amazing, but it's not the best weather conditions we have. So then you have delivery delays, labor delays, and weather delays come in there. Then you frame the house, then you get your floors delivered, your trusses delivered, and then the windows and doors. The whole process, the moment you pour your foundation to get into that lockup package, sometimes it takes about 3 months to 4 months. Nowadays, about 5 months to get that done. And the waste of material, everything, consider that. Now, there is going to be a time, and we will go at the lockup package. Look, and all you have to do is go to Europe. They ship you the whole house on a truck, on a trailer. Europe is way ahead of us. They dealt with that population crisis, and they've been forward thinking. But now, if you look at that, the moment a contract, there will be a day very, very soon in our future the contractor will phone you and say, okay, on this day, I'm going to pour this foundation, this foundation, this foundation, and I want delivery there. We can have packages sitting on the site, and then they can have one crew with just all they have to do is look at our plans and our layout. Piece 1 goes here, it's a jigsaw puzzle. Piece 2 goes here, piece 3 goes here. And within 3 days, 4 days, they can put the whole thing together. That is the difference. Then what happens then at the moment we will not. Then the gyprock and insulation is simple. And some walls we can deliver with insulation already in there, the OSP outside. The rest of stuff with color, gyprock, cabinets, carpet, finishing, all that stuff, that happens inside the house. And that one they can deal with. But the part that holds back, and the efficiency and the waste of material and the cost effectiveness, bringing it to lockup package, then you are weatherproof, and the contractors love it because you get your major draw from a lockup package. And then the whole job will go easy. That is where we go. Now, that's what we work on. We concentrate on the lockup package. After that, who knows what the future brings, right? Now, if you go to Europe, they will manufacture and ship your house in less than 4 days. They have designs there, everything, and they have robotic plants that they do that. And basically, this is the future.
Yeah, save the robotics for a little bit later, because I'm excited to talk about that as well. But really, I think so. You know, we're talking about taking what usually on the framing side, like to go to the lockup stage. Usually, I've always seen it's about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, usually from once the foundation is sort of cured and ready to go, and then you're building off of that. But you're taking a 6 to 8 week process. You're taking it down to 3 to 4 days, right? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, and then for us manufacturing the plant, like it takes longer. Like we design it, we engineer it, we have the software, we have the machineries, we manufacture it. And I'll make it sound really easy. This is sophisticated design and engineering that we already doing that. And the moment, like I keep telling, once you design a truss and manufacture a truss, because it's angular, it's not 2 pieces of wood together. It's a structural, it's angular, and it's jigsaw puzzle. Everything's got to be within a tolerance to fit. Once you do that, everything else is simple. Everything else will follow. But as long as the end user sees, is the package arrives on the site, and then you go piece 1, piece 2, piece 3, piece 4, and you put them together, and that's it. And they install it.
Yeah. So, like I said, it dramatically shrinks down that process to get that lockup stage. And now you can see, people can start to understand where the efficiencies come to help deal with this crisis that we've got right now. You've got a skilled crew of framers now can put a house together in 4 days as opposed to 6 to 8 weeks. Now they're obviously going to be able to do significantly more and more, more projects like that. So that's the key to this thing, is really understanding what this type of technology, this type of manufacturing process can do to that issue around housing and try to bring more supply to the table. Now, I think, you and I are both excited. I mean, the team's excited because we've had that plan with the existing facilities, for years. But LCF, the New Brunswick acquisition, I mean, they've been doing this now for years. They've been 5 years plus for sure in terms of getting those wall panel pieces. Yeah. So you were witnessing, almost full packages being shipped on the back of a truck while you were there. These guys are already doing it. That brings more of that skill and more confidence to the rest of the facilities across the country. So now we're legitimately a wall panel business now. Is that, now that we've got LCF, correct?
Absolutely, we legitimately are. And what's interesting, certain areas that when we go talk to them about wall panels, they look the other way. They don't want to hear you. But then it's come, and LCF started like that. Nobody wanted to listen. But eventually, out of necessity, they listen. But not certain region that they supplied material. If you go and tell them that we just want to do trusses for you, they will not deal with you. Only way they will deal with you if you supply them the wall panels and the floor cassettes. That's how things change. That's how the market is changing. Yeah. And that this gives us an opportunity now to take that to the rest of the country. Yeah. And now there are other companies that could do that in certain pockets in Canada. But we have the footprint. We are a national company. We have the footprint to do it nationally, to do it across the country.
Let's talk about something else, because now with LCF, I mean, LCF is clearly a well-run business. You can see it by the metrics and the margins and things like that. But what do we bring to the company? What can we do to actually help them even further? How do we improve LCF?
Okay, the one thing that they chose us as a buyer for that company was, aside from like we run the same business, the same philosophy we have as the owners and stuff, the one thing they wanted was they were excited that they're going to deal with the companies across Canada. It's a publicly trading company, national company. And we bring that to the employees. The employees want to become bigger. They wanted to become part of a bigger vision and a bigger dream. Then we bring the efficiency on the accounting system, on the buying power, on buying lumber, how we buy it, how we buy engineered wood product, and the cost saving we have in there. Those are the synergies we bring in there. And the biggest part there was for me was the excitement I saw in the kids' faces. That, wow, we're going to be a part of this and we're going to grow in Maritimes and have few more companies. Never mind the buying power on the lumber side, on the engineered wood products, and all the sophistication we bring to the system, and future automation. And those were the excitement that they saw that every day is a new thing for us. Like, we are not a boring business, we are a growing business. And every day there is excitement, news comes out of it.
So clearly, yeah, they wanted to see further growth. Maybe we talk about a little bit of the structure of the business before and after. The owners were two brothers in their 70s, decided to retire and put the business up for sale about 15 months ago. And I remember when we first heard about the business, you got pretty excited because it was, you knew about them, you knew that they were a pretty decent business. But over the course of the 15 months, we were not the only bidders, right? There were bidders. As a matter of fact, we weren't the high bidder. There was at least one other group that bid a higher price, but they chose us because the opportunity to maintain their legacy, sort of continue. This is a business that is the predominant employer in that community. And, they wanted to see that their friends and neighbors and family were still well taken care of, after the sale. What I was really impressed is that, it sounds like these, the kids, I mean, they're not kids, right? They're 50s, 40s and 50-year-old people. They got excited about now the fact that the business can grow, right? The business can actually grow now because, while their parents owned it, they were a little bit more conservative and, planning for retirement. But now that the business can grow, they've already got their eyes set on, moving into the US and, selling more engineered packages. It sounds like you've kind of unleashed a little bit of a growth spurt with these guys. That's why they're excited.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Is like that is the vision. It's more of a vision they have and the aspiration they have, that they want to grow it there and they want to grow it there. And one thing I respected the two owners there, when I met them, we really didn't spend that much time on the price. It was just a very simple thing. They knew what we paid, certain multiple of EBITDA, and that's it. They were more interested about how we're going to take care of the business and their family and their employees and where we're going to take that business. They are excited to work with us just as part-time, as guidance and consultant, because they are pretty experienced in that area in Canada. They are a very, very well-known company, very well-respected company and owners. And they will help us out because they're excited about what we're doing in the industry there. And that's what was exciting about it. So it wasn't just, I want to sell, I want so much money and I don't care and I just want to retire and stuff. It was about what is the future going to look like for us. And that's what's the exciting part.
Now, so now they're also bilingual, right? This is an important piece of this, right? These guys, everybody there speaks French, very fluent in French. And of course, we've got no operations in Quebec. Mind you, they do, LCF does sell into Eastern Quebec. But we now have like a serious capability of actually starting to review deals in Quebec, right? Where before we were a little hesitant because of the language and the culture, but now we've got a serious ability to go into that market.
Absolutely. Basically, right now, like Quebec, I love the business in that province. I love the culture in that province, and the language is a barrier. And now it gives us the possibility we can go anywhere in Canada now. We can cover the whole country anywhere in Canada. We can go there, and we can have operations in everywhere in Canada. It just takes that possibility. It gives us that possibility. It just was like even before Port. When we first went public, we were doing $8 million a year. We couldn't buy that many big companies, but now we can buy anybody. We can do M&A with anybody because of the size we are now.
Right? Yeah. I'm going to get to that in a second here, because we will talk about sort of further acquisitions, but I want to dive a little bit more into, you had mentioned that there's cost savings as far as material purchasing. That's really now one of the big advantages we have over a lot of our competition is because of the scale and the size of our business. We're probably now, as far as trusses, I'm pretty sure we're the largest truss provider across the country. Is that correct?
We are one of them, yeah.
Yeah,
we are up there. When it's trusses alone, yeah, we are up there.
If it's just trusses, yeah. So, and trusses don't use just the average piece of lumber that comes, out of Costco or whatever, or Home Depot. It's structural lumber. It's important lumber. We've got significant buying power that we bring to all our acquisitions now, as well as the EWP or engineered wood products. Give us a sense of how much savings we could see, or LCF could see with our buying power. Can you give us a sense?
Hey, let me. I have the team here on the call there. Maybe Gurmeet, that is for Chief Operating Officer, and she's been in the industry with me since year 2000. Maybe you want to put something in there, girl.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gurmeet, and I am the COO of AEP. Good question there, Paul. Like, that's one of the things that was probably very exciting to us when we were there last week with the integration process, because again, like you mentioned, this operation is incredible. The culture is incredible. The business practices, what they do when it comes to margins and efficiency, they are unbelievable. But the great part, though, is that we have the buying power. Like when it comes to engineered wood products, like now we can go direct and buy from the mill, which is literally only 2 hours away from this location. Because what they were doing is they were actually going through a lumber supplier. So basically they got that, then they have to pay the commission to go. So they're not directly dealing with anyone. So
yeah, I want to say this really, this is interesting. So there's an EWP location within 2 hours of this facility, very close in the grand scheme of things. We're able to get material cheaper from that facility than they were. Is that correct?
100%.
Yeah.
We've got because we have that relationship. We have 7 other plants that we have, them supplying product to, vendor managed and inventory for the lumber. There's efficiency, savings, timing, purchasing power. What we have with our vendor management, we can bring in lumber, have it sit there for them, so they don't have to worry about running out. So they've always have everything available to them, whether it be special order product is going to be sitting there on site. Plate pricing, that's a huge part of our packages for trusses and floors. So the efficiency, we're probably looking at about 20 to 25% just in savings along those lines.
Yeah. So what's remarkable is, as strong as these margins are that this company has, we think we can actually improve them quite nicely. So there's a number of things that work so well with this acquisition, but it's not just a perfectly run business that can't be improved. We think we can improve it significantly. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Thanks, Gurmeet.
Thank you.
You got it. So now we've got LCF. Everybody, we've had probably 50 different calls, myself and Hadi, with fund managers and analysts and everything over the last week. And they're all stunned at kind of the impressiveness of this one deal. And of course, the minute the ink dries on the news release, it's like, okay, now what's next? The deal was structured so that there was plenty of cash left over, so the company can continue to do M&A and then sort of there's some capital expense ideas that we'll talk about in a bit. But how do you, like, what does the pipeline look like for further deals? Like, what, you know, when do you think you can do another deal? And more importantly, what does the deal flow look like? Are there, you know, is there one or two deals you're looking at? Is there more? Is there, you know, what can you tell us about the landscape right now?
Well, the pipeline is pretty good. It's full, and we approach the same discipline, no matter what size they are and what location. And we have certain locations in the country in mind that I keep hunting and finding new companies to purchase. And then because we still have empty spots in the country that we need to fill. Now, are they all going to be the same size as LCF? No, they will be smaller, and they will sometimes they'll be a bigger one than that. But we have a strategy, we have a discipline. We follow that to a T, and we just keep moving forward. And what we've done in the past, and then I'm hoping we come to a point right now that we will do 2 a year. We do one every 6 months and fill up the gap, and then we just keep looking for more.
And what we try to remind everybody too is, you know, the company held back for a bit of cash. The deal itself was cash through the use of debt and $2 million worth of stock, which maybe we'll talk about that a little bit before we go on. The $2 million worth of stock that was given to the vendors, that stock was put into a trust, and apparently is in the hands of the sort of the kids that are operating the business, and they're pretty excited about that. So we have, you know, a seriously vested interest in the management team who's excited about the ability to continue to grow with the company, and has, you know, shares in that company, and likely this is a sort of a structure that will be used in further deals, right? I mean, that's an ideal way to structure these deals, making sure that the vendor or somebody associated still has a vested interest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and and the way we look at it, like, and of course, always watch it for the loans and how much loans we're going to take, and we don't need equity. We are not going to raise equity, not now or even the near future. And whenever we're going to dilute those shares, or even like we did with LCF, we gave shares. We made sure it was really, if there were the shares we bought from the NCIB. We bought about 2.2 million shares at 52 cents average cost. And then we issued 1.78 of it or something like that. So the dilution and the amount of debt we take and stuff, that like we pay a lot of attention with that, because we don't want to do that. And one thing we got to remember, we operate every day. We make money every day. So once you program and you manage your M&As based on how much money you make, how much cash you have, and how much you can borrow stuff there. So we have a very disciplined approach on it, because we are a money-making company too, right?
So yeah, I mean, that's the other question that came up so much in our conversations with the different investors, is just that, you know, do we think we're going to have to go out and raise money to do these deals? And the answer is no, unless something very surprising comes out of left field. The plan here is to continue to grow through, you know, acquisitions using our cash and our balance sheet. So we don't foresee any need to go out and raise equity at all, correct?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is no need. And the other thing is, there are you got to be creative, and there are different ways of making a deal. So it's not just a case of, oh, I cannot borrow this money, you cannot raise that capital and do it. That's the very lazy way of doing things. There are different ways of creating and making a deal, and creating a way of making a deal happen. And that's the approach we have, because the dilution is a big part of it, that we don't want to do that either.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we you know, the other question that comes up a lot is just the sort of state of the industry right now, right? You know, obviously everybody's aware that mortgage rates have gone up to some degree. We've had fits and starts in terms of housing starts. You know, we had slowness, and then it got sped up, and then it slowed down a little bit. What can you tell us about just the lay of the land right now? What does the industry look like in terms of business?
Paul, if you look at what the industry looks like compared to last year and the year before, we are really slow, right? Because what the analyst or the financial or the investor, everybody look at it, that they are not actually in the playing field. We went from lumber being 57% higher, and everybody thought the world's going to end because of COVID, and they all running to the countries to buy homes, and homes going to run out. So it was a crazy panic and anxiety in the marketplace. So when we compared in that last 2 years, look, and if you consider the lumber price, we probably about 10-12% down on the revenue. Now, to us, to me, that in my business for so long, I compared it to 3 years ago. We are doing really good. It's steady. Now, there are few elements outside of our control that we can control. Number one is the inflation. Number two is all of a sudden the Bank of Canada decided to raise the interest rate all the time. And I don't argue with them because I'm not in that business. They did whatever they did to do, because for a long time we got used to free money in this country and free checks handout. So they've done that. So it brought a lot of people's expectation. The people who thought, and don't forget to, when they do all this stuff, they take Vancouver and Toronto and major cities. And people who are going to buy a simple box for $1 million, but the moment you raise it 1% interest rate, there goes the qualification rate. So there is a market slowdown. There is an adjustment happening in there. And it's become a political hot potato. All the politicians pointing finger at somebody else. But the one thing is there that we see, and I say, oh my God, the floodgates open up one day, is how many homes we build per year and how many people come to this country. And it's not just the people come to this country. All those people will have children. And they bring another 4 or 5 family members in the future. That's how you build that immigration in the country there. And it keeps growing. And everything an immigrant wants to do, first thing they do, they come to this. There's a guy called George. He's asking too many questions. Sorry, I got this.
We'll get to that in a minute. Don't worry about that.
That's okay.
We'll get there.
So what I'm looking at it is every immigrant comes to this country, like I was one. You got to make sure you have a job. Otherwise, you're going to go hungry. So you have a job. Your number 2 on the list is I'm going to have a home, buy a home. The number 3 is I'm going to bring my cousins, my nieces, my nephews, everybody over, because this is a wonderful country. Everybody wants to come here, right? So we are on a roll. And someday, some ways, the leaders of this country will get their act together and they will figure out a solution. And the solution is simple. Make it affordable for people. As our industry, we need to start working on making it affordable and not let the greed set in. Developers got to make it affordable. And the government's got to start cutting down on red tape and speed up the process. And those hidden costs, that almost over 20% of your cost is in permitting and the local taxes and the government taxes. They got to do something like that. So if you notice, when everybody talks about it, nobody talks about giving a break on the taxes. Everybody's blaming everybody else, but they actually say behind the thing, this is a cash cow. We get to just make more money off the people and waste it on the country. So don't get me into politics.
I was going to say, I'll go off the deep end too. But
we keep that out. So eventually something has to give. And I've seen in our industry, we go from, oh my God, the world's going to end. 2 weeks delivery. Next thing you know, you wake up in the morning, you're gone to 12 weeks delivery. And that's
Paul. Paul, it's Brad. Sorry to cut in, but I'm just on the SCD Twitter site, and there's 3 or 4 people that are trying to get on the call.
Okay, Trev,
in the waiting.
Trev, can you clean that up? Trevor will look at that and make sure that's done.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks, Brad. Hadi, I mean, it's amazing that a lot of people think that we're in a trough right now. Like this is, a number of people that I talk to consider that the current state of affairs right now is really bad. And you just said, like, this is what it was like 3 years ago, pre-pandemic. This is actually, if this is as bad as it gets, we're in big trouble when things get busy again, right? I've said this over and over again. We're probably sitting around a 250,000 a year housing start number right now on average. And the estimates are that we're going to need about 500,000 per year just to catch up, So, if we don't start to see that number climb, we're going to have a bigger and bigger issue down the road. And government, there's a lot of politicians right now that realize that they're going to lose their jobs really quickly if this solution continues to be this type of priority. So I think from that standpoint, yeah, this longer term, things are really well positioned for anybody in kind of our part of the world here. But maybe even like shorter term, when I talk to investors, I kind of describe it that right now it's really a function of interest rates, right? The developers that we talk to, the builders we talk to, they're smart people and they watch interest rates like everybody else. And when we saw that bump in interest rates early in the year, or just prior to the end of the year, actually, things did slow down, right? They either delayed projects, or in some cases, if they had projects, they tried to slow play these projects. The minute interest rates settled and sort of stopped going up, we saw that big rush to start projects again. All of a sudden, inventory was gone, everybody ran out, and you start to hear stories about, multiple offers on homes, all that sort of stuff. And that happened for several months. And then, of course, interest rates now for the last 2 months have been jumping up again. And lo and behold, the same thing has happened. Developers and builders now are saying, wait a minute, I've got to sit here and wait and see what happens. But I mean, our discussion, we clearly believe, and this has been echoed by a lot of other people, the minute we see interest rates plateau again or start to drop, those developers, their plans are, these are all plans that are ready to go. They're just waiting to decide when to put the shovel in the ground and go. Am I saying it correctly?
No, you're saying it absolutely correctly. Plus, the part you got to understand, especially nowadays with the internet and social media, and there are lots of fake news out there, millions of it, and there are some real facts. And most of the time, the statistics come from Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. Yeah. Homes are anywhere from $900,000 to $1 million. That they are all high rises, multifamily, right? And when you look at it, for you to buy $1 million building, a house, your payment's going to be around $7,000 plus the taxes plus everything. With the Canadian system, it means you got to make about $15,000 a month. That's $180,000 a year, $200,000 to qualify for that mortgage. How many people make that kind of money? So those are all the things you got to understand it. Meanwhile, in this business, we just bought LCF in New Brunswick. You can buy a home for $300,000, $250,000 on an acreage. And that's the difference. But the reports and the economic reports come from the major centers where the high rises are and the big buildings. And those are the issues that people come in and that's what's happening there. And so every time you raise the interest rate, you think you qualify, then they have the risk factor that they do another 3% for risk management and all that stuff. And you can't afford it anymore. You're out of the market.
And Hadi, one of the things that appealed to me when I first really started to understand the business strategy that you guys had, what you wanted to do, is that we don't really sell into Vancouver. We don't sell into Toronto. We don't sell into those markets. We sell into the rural areas where housing is cheaper. We sell into, obviously, Vancouver Island's a big deal for the company, and there's a lot more retirees there. So the interest rate, mortgage rates don't have the same effect as it would in other markets. And of course, now LCF. LCF sells a lot into the agricultural industry, sort of the cottages. And like Hadi said, the housing there is significantly lower price. Now, of course, yes, their income is probably lower, but they're not as affected by the craziness that we're seeing in Toronto and Vancouver markets. And you're right. The headlines are really Vancouver and Toronto. That's really what we're seeing, right?
And then the other thing is about rural areas, even in Nanaimo and Vancouver Island or New Brunswick, so Saskatchewan, Winnipeg. The family unity is a different way of living, right? And then lots of people help their kids out with down payments and mortgage payments and stuff there, because that's how the culture is. It's not an urban culture. No, the urban cultures, some of them do it, but the rural cultures we have, and we forget that Canada is a rural country. You go past in prairies, Manitoba, most of Ontario, New Brunswick, everything's there. But economists sit there and they get the stats, everything there. And of course, when you build a high rise, you have 350 to 400 units. That's going to screw up the statistic compared to just one house. So the high-rise building goes down, the stars will go down.
Yeah.
But I look at it, for example, and we talk to some investors, and lots of them amazing people. They understand it, and some of them, we produced $11 million, something like that, last quarter, right? We made over $880,000 profit. And they look at it like a disaster. Give me a break, man.
I know, and like I said, in the same breath, usually you hear about how bad they think that the market is right now, and that we're troughing, and everybody understands the coming demand, but everybody seems to think this is a low period, and how long can it stay low? I mean, if this is as bad as it gets, we're in really, really good shape as far as this business, right?
Yeah, Paul, I remember old days when we didn't have the population. Sometimes when things really slow down, they slow down. You end up cleaning the floors all the time. And trying to keep the main employees employed so you don't lose them. And then you be lucky. You say, you work on, okay, let's see how much we're going to lose this month. I hope it's not 100 grand. I hope it's not 200 grand. And you keep bringing the loss, as low as you can.
Yeah, it sort of used to be, Q1 was you lose money. You hope to not lose too much money in Q1, and you make it all back in the other quarters, right? Our Q1 was a record, near record. I think it was the second best Q1 we've ever had. It was highly profitable, and again, most people were thinking the world was ending at that period of time. So it'll be interesting to see how busy things get and what it looks like then. But what do we? One question I always ask is kind of like the challenges. Like, okay, we talked about some of the good things that are going on, but Hadi, what challenges are you facing? I know everybody talks about labor. That's probably, I know it's always an issue, but it's a day-to-day issue. But do you see any other challenges that you're facing right now that we should know about?
I mean, whenever you have a corporation that is almost 300 human beings, there are certain days there are challenges there, right? But I guess we become, like, I don't want to make it sound easy for Gurmeet and Melissa's job, because unfortunately they deal with that, the everyday job of it. I'm just a dreamer and building the future and stuff there. But we are heavyweight boxers, Paul. You get punched in the face so many times, then what challenge? Sorry, I don't mean to be arrogant about it. Once you've been punched so many times in life, I mean,
the little punches don't hurt anymore. Yeah.
And then there is a thing about it is that we get into it in every challenge, in every breakdown, or every adversity comes there. If you calm down and don't let your anxiety up and your stress level, but there is always an opportunity in it, right? Like one thing there is that I remember it old days. If you went to school, when sometimes the community, they used to ask me to come and speak at the high school, and then you ask kids, raise your hand. What do you want to do in the future? One wanted to be a fireman, one a policeman, one a carpenter, one a plumber, one a this, doctor, engineer. But there were more tradespeople, hands raised for the tradespeople. Now, God help you. Everybody wants to be an influencer in the country and make easy money on internet, because they hear all the stupid news on social media that this person is making millions of dollars, this person is making billions. It's a different way there. So that's the biggest challenge we face in the country, not just our business, everybody's business.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to make $50 an hour right away.
Yeah.
So now with us, then now that becomes an opportunity. Where we go with that challenge and opportunities there. Otherwise, we do have the same challenges that every other business has every day. And right now, today is the biggest challenge we have is Friday long weekend. How many people were missing? And the biggest challenge we have on Tuesday, how many people are going to show up to work because they extend their holiday.
Sure.
Never mind, you know what I'm saying? So those challenges day to day. And then the three ladies on the call here, they're a master of dealing with that. Like we become boxers now. One more punch doesn't hurt, it doesn't knock you out. So that's the one I see there. And really at the end of it, the biggest challenge I've seen for us, for a company like us, that we grow in Canada, like after even the last year, with the legal, the accounting rules and the TSX rules, it's a huge bureaucratic challenges that you need to not get frustrated by the stupid things they ask you every time. And really all that is somebody making wages by asking stupid questions. Now, don't get me going there. That's all that is. That's the challenge I've seen there, you know, that it's always, why are you asking me this? You know the answer already, but those are the challenges.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's one of the challenges of being a public company is all the added bureaucracy. Okay, so now you just finished telling me that one of your serious challenges is labor. Okay, now this lends us to sort of the last thing I really want to talk about, and that's you know, how you fix that is through obviously more automation, more productivity per person. But the big step that we're about to take here, which is exciting, and will be the first in the country of Canada, at least, to do this, is to start building out robotic facilities, correct? Why don't you tell us what that means, what kind of productivity that might mean, and what's getting you excited about this next sort of phase of the business?
Well, the robotic manufacturing, this is something in development. It started a long time ago in Europe. And now it's been introduced in North America, and the local American companies are manufacturing the robots, and they perfected it. And there will be, in truss manufacturing, will be one of the front runners to manufacture roof trusses via robotic. We have the capability, we have the money, and we have the size to do that. And with that said, the robots manufacturing, you're looking at conservatively about 6 to 7.5 times more than one person can produce. The robot will produce with you. And the way we look at it, the robots will not replace human beings. The robots will work with the existing team we have, and it will increase our productivity, and it will save their back and fingers from long-term injuries and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when you're working as a laborer and hard work with lumber and stuff, the long-term work is got a wear and tear on your body. And the robot will save you that. So we're looking at ways of taking the existing workforce and then adding the automation and machinery to it to increase our manufacturing by 7-fold, 8-fold, 9-fold. And to do that, you need considerable amount of cash, brand new buildings, because robots, they need to have environment to work in with the dust and with the heating and everything, and the size you need and stuff there. And I'm glad we have the footprint, we have the size, and we have the cash and the expertise to do that. And we are very excited. And then we'll be one of the front runners in Canada to set that up.
So I like the way you described it. One of our discussions a while ago is that if you were to take the standard sort of $10 million building, or a building that does $10 million in revenue right now, this type of robotics with the same manpower would do 75 to 80 million in revenue, correct?
Yeah, and then that will ultimately, that will be ultimate. You look at goal, but you look at what maybe, and rather than setting yourself up for failure on expectation, or you look at, you'd be happy to do 50 million, 55 million. That's it. And don't have the anxiety of, oh my God, we got so many orders. Where are we going to find sales labor? Because certain location, all of a sudden you get 10 resumes, and certain areas we don't even get 1 resume.
Yeah. But the nice thing, and why this is a big part of the plan, is that, you know, a small competitor is not going to be able to do this. A small competitor won't have the capital, in some cases won't have the time to sort of justify, and won't have the volume to justify it. Whereas we can draw volume and demand from different facilities and all of a sudden justify a plant like this. We obviously, you know, we also have, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20, even 50-year time horizon. So it makes sense. If somebody's 70 years old and they're looking to retire, they're not going to go spend $5 to $10 million building these facilities. They're not going to do it. So there's very, very few others that can really even be in a position to do something like this. But
absolutely,
but it will really impact the sort of the competitive nature of this business and what it could do to a lot of sort of the less sophisticated competitors out there. I mean, it dramatically changes the efficiency of an operation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has to make sense. You have to have the money, and it makes sense for return on investment. And a lot of times the buildings we build for existing machinery.
Yeah.
So now to have new operation, new building, new land, everything there is pretty sophisticated. And with us, if we were not a publicly traded company, what would you want to do it?
Yeah.
What would we just happy make money as it is and just keep moving forward? But having a big plan, big vision, and a big dream and stuff, that is the only way to do it. And it's a game changer. It's a game changer, every aspect of it, especially for trusses.
Yeah.
Because there are some products you make, you can use robot for the part of your product. You can use robot for all of it. This one you can do, they do the whole package for you.
Yeah.
Only thing they don't do for you, actually they even stack it. It's that then the operator pick it up with the forklift, put it out there, and they even feed the lumber to the saw. All you have to have one person watch it go through.
Yeah. That's
and
amazing.
Just watch them ballerinos dancing. They really like ballerinos. They just dance away.
It's
put the music on and just listen to them dance. Look, I've seen them. I've seen how they operate.
Yeah. Now, you know, obviously this program is set in motion. Like this isn't a dream for 5 years out there. When do you hope to see a facility up and running?
Well, we open within 2.5 years. We will have fully one facility running.
Yeah.
And we've been working on. It's not an overnight thing. This is not a dream. The Gurmeet's been working on it, and her team, they've been working on it for the last few months. They've been working pretty diligently on it for a long time.
Yeah, and I think just procurement of the actual robotic equipment, that's a year plus. You know, you put in an order now, it's going to take you a year plus just to get the equipment.
Absolutely.
So there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on while you're doing that.
Absolutely.
But we're well on our way there. And then ultimately, what do you envision? Is it one facility that sort of works for the whole country, or how many of these facilities do you see across Canada? Potentially.
For now, I see 5.
5. Okay. Gotcha. Fantastic.
5 greenbelt. You don't close anywhere down. It's 5 in addition to what we're building through M&A. I see 5, and really, ultimately, ideally, the last calculation I did, ideally you have 7 of them there. You are a Skookum, because then they are within reach of each other and stuff. So 5 for now, 5.
Yeah. Gotcha. I get one more question before we leave and start answering other questions. Is this is the other question we always get, and we didn't really touch on it here, but the M&A pipeline. You know, we've kind of told everybody to look at the map of Canada, see where the holes are. That's likely where we're going to sort of emphasize next, or that's kind of the priority. But there's also a country south of us called the United States. You know, that question always comes up. What's your thoughts as far as the U.S. And M&A down in that market?
Well, U.S. is over 10 times bigger than us. They have an amazing capitalist system there. They are not like Canada. They have a great system. They have a different mentality towards capitalism and making money and moving forward. And the other thing they do in our industry, people can write off their mortgage payment, and they have longer term mortgage payments, everything. They make it easy for the home buyers and stuff. So that's why the economy in the home building is so booming down there. Now, when it comes to the trust business, we use the same language, the same software, the same product, everything. You take a trust plan in US and Canada, there is no difference. Everything is the same. Now, for us, we need to be in US. And we're already talking to a few US companies. We've been kicking tires for a long time. And we need to be there. But we are very, very conservative company. We go we have boxes we have to tick before we move forward. We don't take crazy risks, because we are a publicly trading company and people put their money in our trust to make the right decision. So we take that and we multiply by 10 times more careful. But I know it, I believe it, we need to be in US one day. Soon, we need to be there, because that's another expansion for us. Because after a while, it doesn't make sense for us to just buy different old factory trust plans in the country. You know, once you have your footprint and you have built a few companies, it doesn't make sense. Why are you buying everything? You know, so we need to look at the US too. And that's the first year. And if you look at it, like the certain corporation that they do the roll-up strategy, we model ourselves after them. And then the big jump and everything happened when they went to US. We got to be careful, but we can't be scared. We need to be brave and be careful. Plus, we are not, like, I've done business in US before. In my past businesses, we have shipped trusses to US before COVID. We shipped from our Ontario operations a lot of trusses to US. We are familiar with that business.
So okay, to summarize there, then, you know, we're already talking to potential acquisitions in the States. Any entry into the States requires, we call it, there's more check boxes we have to check off to be comfortable there. It has to make sense from a logistics standpoint. So ideally, it's going to be something close to the border where we can, use some of our sort of people and have them drive to the facility across the border. But then no change in discipline. Like every acquisition that we look at going forward we're taking the same discipline approach. We've got our metrics that we want to see. We've got to be able to bring the synergies that make sense, all those things. I think the word discipline is something that we continue to bring over and over again. We're not going to lose that discipline just for the sake of going to the States. It's got to be the right deal. It's got to make the right amount of sense. Okay,
absolutely.
Perfect. Hadi, why don't we answer some questions? We've got a bunch of questions. I think between you, me, and the rest of the ladies here, I think we should be able to answer some of these things.
Yeah, let's answer some questions. You're getting too serious on this call.
Am I getting too serious? Okay, good. This is a lot less serious than I usually am on these calls. So, okay, so Jill's asked, what is LCF revenue per site job compared with Atlas? So that's an interesting question. I think what he's trying to say is, like, because they sell so many sort of full, almost lockup packages, what typically does one of those packages looks like compared to kind of what we typically do when we sell, say, to a home, right?
Well, say on an average, I don't know particular that number in front, but on an average, say we set the trusses cost you $5,000. Very, very close to this, about double it for the floors. Now multiply by 3 for the wall panels. Okay. So the average cost goes from $5,000 to about 20 grand.
Yeah.
For one truck. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get the idea. Depending on what different products they're looking for, and in LCF, more times than not, it's a full package as opposed to just trusses, or maybe just trusses and floor joists products that we're selling. What's going to get interesting though is, because we've got the ability to sell more EWP now through them, that number might tweak a little bit higher if the building is looking for EWP as well. Yeah. Okay, great. Next question. How has M&A evolved, or how's the environment evolved in 2023? Do you see similar opportunities and valuations I guess now compared to 2022? I think I know the question. Is like, if prices come up, if they come down, are we seeing more deals? Are we seeing less? What's happening right now compared to the last couple of years?
We've seen more deals, and vendors are more reasonable, because it's like everybody else during COVID time, everybody saw free money out there. We've seen more deals, and the prices are reasonable, and then we stick to what we can pay.
Perfect. Thanks, Jacob. Okay, so Jill's again, next question is, how far away can LCF sell their products? Is that further away than most other Atlas plants?
Yes. They go, like LCF is right on the border with Quebec. They are in Eel River Crossing, that is close to the major town called Campbellton, that is over the bridge from Quebec. 45–50% of their business down in Eastern Quebec there. And then they go to Nova Scotia, PEI, Maine, everywhere. They go all over the place there. And they're used to the trucking system. They have an amazing trucking system, and something they deliver 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, it's interesting. A big component is their trucking business. So they use almost, the logistics and handling of their trucking system is amazing. Another key piece of the business that we hope to replicate in some ways. Okay, so now Ray says, just curious if LCF trusses and other products have higher costs due to weatherproofing, etc. Are the products built differently between the East and West Coast? No,
everything's the same. Everything's the same. No weatherproofing. The only thing they do, that is amazing too, all the wall panels are shrink wrapped. They wrap them in plastic cover. They even have their logo on it and everything. Lift the lumber, so you can see it. The trusses, the floors, and the walls are wrapped. Not the trusses, the floors, and otherwise, no. Everything's the same. The same grade lumber, the same place, the same way of manufacturing everything.
Yeah, I guess the only difference really from truss to truss is depending on the weather. A lot of it has to do with snow load, right? So if you're in markets that have much higher snow, more snow, then it's literally how you sort of build the trusses.
Absolutely. It's the way we design it is based on the snow load and the wind and the storm.
Yeah.
And that's how you engineer it, and that's how you design your trusses. That's otherwise everything's the same.
Gotcha. Okay, so now Jacob asked, how much of the operational slowdown in 2023 would you attribute to lower lumber pricing versus volume order tailwind from slower housing sector? We talked about this a bit.
Yeah, we thought basically the slowdown is about 10 to 15%. Now, when you look at lumber, it looks like 35% slowdown, but this really is about 10 to 15% slowdown. That's it.
Yeah. So the way we've kind of said is
that's compared to last year. Sorry, compared to that last year was a crazy demand.
Yeah, because I think everybody knows that the company passes through lumber prices. So when lumber prices are high, we tack on the same sort of percentage margin typically. And then when they come down, that even though it's the same percentage margin, of course, that nominal number is lower. So it does have an effect both on revenue and to some degree on profits. But the key is, like, remember that lumber prices this time last year, or at one point, I think we were down 2/3, down 60% or more in lumber prices. So obviously it had a big effect. And I think the math that I did is about 60 or 70% of the actual drop in revenue was attributable right to the lumber prices and some other material pricing. So the balance is kind of attributable to the current slowdown that we're seeing. Okay, so Ray says, government permit fees same across Canada, or are they more onerous in the West versus East Coast? You talked about, like, in some cases, I know in Vancouver, in this market, it's somewhere between 25 and 30% is all the taxes, permits, fees, levies, and everything that the local government places on a new build. Like, it's an egregious amount of money. As a matter of fact, it was highlighted the other day that the entity that makes the most money on any house that's built is the government, right? Not the builder. Builder actually makes just as much money on a percentage basis now as they've almost always done. It's the government that has taken a bigger and bigger and bigger piece on every new build across the country. Now, the difference, of course, is there's different municipal taxes there's federally, there's is it the HST or GST? I can't remember anymore, but you can understand how much gets eaten up by that. But how do you have a sense of the differences in those kind of fees between the different markets we're in?
It's the smaller community is cheaper and much faster. You can almost sometimes get your permit in 2 days or a week. Then there's certain communities, it takes 6 months or a year. And sometimes they don't even want to talk to you. So, but let's not go to government. I'm glad you made that comment. We don't want to get the AEP.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Because local governments have a lot of power. They run their own mafia. So
yeah, that's right.
We are friends with everybody.
We try to stay friends with everybody. Yeah. Okay, so Gilles asks, LCF had net income of 6.3 million, and the purchase price was 28.9 million. The yield is 21.8%. That is unbelievably cheap. Why did LCF sell at that price? What am I missing? I mean, we kind of touched on that. Why would you say that they sold it at that price? I mean, we believe it was a great price. I think they believe it was a great price, but I think we mentioned earlier that it was not just about price. They really, really wanted to emphasize the legacy that they're leaving. And I'll add that, when you get into these more rural markets, you see less competition on the buy side. So that's a part of it, right? So Hadi, I don't know what you want to add to that piece. So
the price was 26 million. The 28, the extra was working capital.
Working capital, yeah.
The versus was, and it was great. It was a great deal, and I'm forever grateful to Gilles and Maurice, the brothers, that they accepted the deal with us, and they made that. And that's the part about it is heartwarming there, that because I have talked to certain vendors that all they care about is that dollar sign, and usually it takes me about half an hour, I'll walk away, and that's not us. And I'm forever grateful, and I have enormous respect for those brothers and that family, that they never cared about the dollar. Now, I don't want to brag about we got a good deal and stuff, because that's not true. It's not. When you look at the whole structure, we gave them a good price, fair price. They are happy with it. We are happy with it. And I'm forever grateful and respect them, the kind of human beings they are. Because sometimes it's nice to meet a certain human beings that they just don't care about money, that they care about everything else than money. And it's usually they are rich people. You know, I mean, that it's not that greed set in there. That's all. It makes me sick that it's all about money and greed. So I'm forever grateful and appreciative that they accepted us, that this is what we could afford to pay, and they made it work for us.
Now, Hadi, I mean, what's interesting too is now they made some phone calls right after the deal went through to let everybody know that that basically you're in the buying business. So it sounded like they sort of gave a good referral to you to talk to some others in the area as well.
Absolutely. And we are a small business. Yes, it's all across the country or North America, but the community is really small, and the word of mouth travels overnight. And that's the part I'm proud of my team. And then Gurmeet, Melissa are on this phone call too there, you know, on this meeting too there. That is, we have a great reputation out there that we take care of people. Now, have we made everybody happy and with some of our decisions? No, of course not. But at the end, nobody can deny that we care about human beings. We care about the families that work there and their families. And that we are not doing it as an act. It's genuine, authentic. And there are lots of, and the word travels around the industry. That is not just the bad, mean corporations that come in to make profit and crack down on everybody and make money and stuff. We care about people. That's what we do really. It's expanding and giving everybody the opportunity and possibility to grow with us. Everybody's growing with us.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so Jills, the other part of your question here, for this first 6 months of 2023, how much revenue did LCF make? That's not publicly disclosed yet, so I'm not comfortable asking that question. How much revenue for full year 2021? That's fine to say publicly. What did the company do in 2021? Just, I guess, almost pre-pandemic. Do you remember?
Yes, why you ask so many hard questions, man?
He's a good investor. He's doing a good job.
So, hey, Melissa, our CFO is on the call there. Melissa, it's Friday. Can you help me out? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, that's fine. Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm the CFO of AEP. 2021, they did just over 22 million in revenues in that year compared to the almost 26 million of 2023, sorry.
Perfect. Okay, so and then here's a question that should be a little easier. In what cities are the LCF plants located?
The actual city the plants are located is Eel River Crossing. That's where all the 4 plants are. And they are on that property there. And then in Edmondson, we have an office and a building office with designers and salespeople in Edmondson, close to just on the other side.
Okay, so Jills obviously knows the area because he knows some of the communities better than I do here. But does the LCF sell into Moncton, St. John, and the Rimouski market?
Yes, they sell. They don't sell much in Moncton because Moncton is turning into multifamily. And historically, because of the buying power on engineered wood and the wall buying power, lots of multifamilies, they require lots of I-joists and engineered wood products. Historically, they stayed away from that side. But yes, they do sell in Moncton, and the rest of the area, they do sell in those areas too. And Moncton is one of the fastest growing cities in Canada right now too. That's where we fly in most of the time, to Moncton and then drive to LCF. Yes.
Now, Hadi, the fact that we can now bring them more EWP or better pricing, that likely opens up that Moncton sort of multi-dwelling market, does it not?
Absolutely, it does. However, Paul, they have a most amazing discipline and approach toward the market. And we want to copy that discipline approach. Just because we buy something cheaper, we don't want to give it away and then upset the apple cart or anything like that. Because we just like how they do business, and we're going to leave them alone and let them do their business that way.
Yeah, fair enough. I realize we get a lot of questions here, so I'm going to try to go through some of these faster and faster as we go here. But is the 5-year loan, or 5-year term loan on the that we've just received, is it interest only? What are the monthly payments of the loan and mortgage?
Well, that's for Melissa,
That's
right?
a Melissa question, yeah.
That is a me question.
Yeah.
So it is principal plus interest, and the monthly payments should be about 350,000.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Okay, so thanks, Melissa. We're going to go into rapid fire here because I've got Unai's asked a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to try to answer some, and then we'll get you guys to answer the others. How fragmented is the market in Canada, and who are the top 3 players in the industry? So the data we have is roughly 200 trust companies across the country. And as far as the top 3, I mean, we're clearly one of the top 3, but who would you suggest might be the other 2? And none of them are public. They're all private businesses.
There is one multiple plant owner company. There is one in Quebec. There is one in Toronto, one in Ontario, and one in Prairies that they have multiple plants.
Yeah. So there's really those.
And it's fragmented, and there are some of them there. And I don't want to just, this is on YouTube. I don't want to make all the competition mad too. Everybody's big and wonderful in Canada. How about that?
There you go. Everybody's a good competitor.
We have an industry with ego-driven industry. I love everybody, and everybody is big enough.
Yeah, perfect. That's right. Everybody's great. What if any competitive advantage does newly acquired LSCF have over its peers? Be that geographic location, technology, labor availability, and product offering. What makes LCF better than, I guess, the local players that are there? I mean, there's other competitors in the market. I think what we talked about is, first off, this is a big province. Like New Brunswick is very big, and sort of the next closest competitor, I think, is 600 or 800 miles away. So it's pretty far. So geography clearly there's an advantage to some degree. But what else would you say as far as competition? I mean, the competition there is actually quite good, right? They're good businesses there.
They are great business people, and they are great competition there. And I can't judge them because I haven't visited them or I haven't been through their factories or anything. All I know is I like the way they do business in those areas, and I respect them a lot. And all I can speak to you is LCF from our experience with them. I love the legacy. I love what their story of what their grandparents did and how they started the business. They have the pictures in the office there that is going to stay there forever. And I absolutely respect what Maurice and Gilles did running their business, and all the employees and the people there. That's all I know. And one thing I've learned from visiting many trust plans and markets in the country, and my experience, I respect everybody how they do their business in the maritime. And they are absolutely good business people there.
Strong work ethic, really strong work ethic there.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've said it over and over again. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, for me to make comparison, I can't, because I haven't visited any of them and been that personally close with them. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, good point. I mean, one thing to note too is that there's very few new trust companies that get built across the country. So when you're a dominant player, or you have a sort of a position in a geography, most of these geographies are growing, but not growing enough to justify a brand new competitor to walk in. So these companies tend to do well just because there's no real new entrants. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely. It's no new entrance, and it's not an easy business to get into, not because of competition. It's the sophistication. Everybody looks at the trust, pieces of lumber put together. It's the most amazing structural engineered and designed product. And it takes a lot of capital layout plus a lot of expertise to run those operations. Now, the people in our industry who we've been doing it for years, we make it look like a piece of cake. Honestly, after a year, when originally I bought Atlas in 1999, that it was called another company, after 12 months, it was a moment of ignorance is a bliss, and my God, what did I get myself into? It's crazy business, how sophisticated it is once you're in it. And honestly, if I knew what I know now and how much cash it takes, I probably would have never bought that company. I would have stick to what I know best at that time, right? But now it's history now. But it's not easy. Plus, then certain areas you open, you invest a few $1 million, and you got monster competition around you that they don't just say, "Hi, hello, come and take our market share away." They will put up a fight. And so it's that all of that stuff you got to get. But the product, It's structurally designed and engineered. It's sophisticated. And it takes a lot to manufacture those.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to manufacture and not make a mistake. Quarter-inch mistake costs you $10,000. That's it. And you can't cut it and refix it, rebuild it. You can't.
You're done. Exactly. Hadi, how many new facilities are you aware of in the last couple of years in Canada?
One.
Okay. Yeah. One. Just think about that for a second. One new one in Canada in the last several years, as busy as it's been. Okay, next few questions here. Do we anticipate there being significantly lower valuations or softening of the M&A market in 2024?
No.
If anything, from what I can tell, it's sort of status quo. Kind of what we're seeing right now, if anything, because it's been so busy the last couple of years, and the majority of the owners in this industry are in their late 60s and 70s. There's these real succession issues. The fact it's been so busy, a lot of them are selling because they're just burnt out. They just can't sort of stomach it getting busy again. So they want to take advantage of, I don't want to say the trough right now to be able to, package up and sell their business. So
not to qualify my answer, I'm sorry, Paul. No. So in one area, I said, no, the multiple doesn't change. We stick to our guns. We pay between 3 and 4 times EBITDA, and that doesn't change. Now, the EBITDA could go lower because of the market being, the market could be slower, and it's not like the crazy lumber price and all the demand was last year. That's why we always go average 3 to 4 years. Yeah. So that could go softer that way. But the EBITDA multiple is 3 to 4. And of course, the more we put the numbers out publicly trading company, we have to hang everything on the clothesline and for everybody to see. There will be more and more maybe private equity firms we want to come buy and stuff. So we will have more competition there and stuff. The surprises could go. But right now, no. We have a discipline, 3 to 4 times EBITDA. That's it.
Okay, do we know the LCF revenue split amongst categories, trusses and wall panels? I know from the wall panel side, the business did 26 million in revenue last year, and we did just shy of 6 million in wall panels. Yeah, absolutely. So the balance, I imagine the balance is floor systems. I don't know what the
floors and floor trusses and normal trusses.
Roof trusses, yeah. So the balance would be that. A little bit of engineered wood product, but I don't imagine it'd be much in there. Yeah.
No.
How much of each type of product is sold outside the Maritimes? I think we said a good portion of the business actually is in Eastern Quebec. I don't know, maybe is it a 50-50 split? What would you think it is?
About 40%, 45%.
Okay, gotcha. Does Atlas still have inventory of lumber purchased at higher prices in 2022? If so, how much is left? When is scale really giving? Okay, so this is an important question. So we don't buy lumber. We actually don't buy lumber the way you think we do. We don't buy big inventory of lumber and have it sit there. The beauty of our inventory management system is the bulk of the material we have actually sits on our site, but we don't pay for it until it's unwrapped. And it only gets unwrapped when we start manufacturing. So we don't carry a high-priced lumber or low-priced lumber. It sits there, and we pay for it almost like you pay for the fish of the day. We pay for it when it's time to unwrap it. I got it correct, right? Anything to add there, Hadi, or I got it right? Okay.
No, absolutely.
When is scale really giving some percentage margin benefit? I think the only real scale we get is the buying power that we have. So it's not like we can, let's talk scale later when we've got these robotics involved. But right now, I wouldn't suggest that there's significant scalability in the business. There's a significant amount of capital that you have to have for equipment, and volume obviously increases utilization. But I wouldn't position it that way. There's not real scale here. Could you comment on how LCF performance has trended in 2023 versus 2022, or is there anything else you can share to help us think about earnings run rate in a more normalized pricing environment? I kind of touched on this a little bit. So LCF is in a more stable environment or stable market than some of our other markets. So Ontario and sort of the lower mainland of Vancouver is the most volatile market in the country, up and down. When you start getting out to smaller communities or smaller areas, like Vancouver Island, for example, is less volatile than sort of the big cities. The Winnipeg area where we've got a facility, that's less volatile. There's more agricultural buildings, things like that. When you get into those markets, you don't get the same run up when things are really bullish, but you certainly don't get the same downtick when things slow down. So this market is a much more stable market. They've seen good, solid growth over the last couple of years, but nowhere near as the craziness that we've seen in some of the other busy markets. So consider that going forward. It's hard to predict what it looks like. Obviously now that we've got our ability to bring our power to bear, that may change, hopefully significantly for the better. But right now, just consider it as a more stable environment than almost any of our other markets. And I think we touched on this earlier. What's the main driver for LCF margins being significantly higher than AEP? Okay, so I got to be careful answering that question, or maybe I'll rephrase that. It is not necessarily better than the rest of AEP. AEP has got different facilities that have different margin profiles. So, for example, the operation in Nanaimo has almost identical margins to the operation in New Brunswick because of the nature of where it's located. Some of our busier, like some of our Ontario markets, because there's a sort of a more competitive landscape, the margins are a little bit lower. The Clinton facility, for example, that we have is in more of an agricultural area as well. We get some really good margins out of that. So as an average, it looks like the rest of AEP is got lower margins, but it really depends on the facility and the market that we're in. So, these guys are doing a phenomenal job. Don't get us wrong. LCF is doing a phenomenal job. We think we can make some improvements, but there are other facilities we have are doing, as well, if not slightly better. Okay, I think that's all the questions from Unai. Let's get into, we're back with Jill's here. Were the Q2 2023 financial results delayed because of the impending announcement of LCF? Yes, I mean, barely. You can appreciate that. I can tell you this now that it's over, but the acquisition of LCF was targeted to actually close probably about a month sooner than it actually did, and that was all ready to go. When it got delayed like it did, it coincided with the sort of the Q2 results. I'm losing track. Yeah. And you can appreciate that the whole team was on site in New Brunswick for a period of time. So yeah, it delayed because we had our CFO, we had a number of the other management team that were in New Brunswick, getting ready for the integration and the closing of the deal. So it delayed it by about a week, I would say, more than traditionally. So nothing material, but it just sort of people-wise and logistic-wise, that's why it was a little bit late. Okay, so Matt asks, do you expect the business to slow down as a result of the current rate environment and recent increases in construction costs? These factors will presumably impact housing supply. Again, I'm doing all the talking, Hadi, here. I'll let you jump in a second, but so the answer is yes. As we said earlier as well, we kind of saw the same thing happen earlier in the year when we saw that rapid rise in interest rates kind of late last year. Builders, even though they may have a project designed and ready to go, they're hesitant to start if there's uncertainty in the market. So what they do is they tend to delay things, and we saw that. And as soon as interest rates plateaued, we saw an immediate increase in starts, and all of a sudden everybody was running again. And then 2-3 months ago, we start to see the increase in rates again, and same sort of thing. So we're seeing a lot of quotes and requests for design and layout engineering, things like that. That gives us an idea that there's a lot of pent-up demand, but the question is, when are those projects going to start? So we're getting all these quotes completed, but that doesn't necessarily tell us that they're going to want to start their project right away. So we think we're going to see something similar to what we saw before. If we see sort of a flatlining of interest rates or even a drop in interest rates, we think that's going to encourage builders to get back out there and start their projects. So that's the bigger sort of impact right now. There's a whole bunch of other costs associated with construction. We talked about government fees and taxes and things like that that are probably the most onerous piece of construction in most areas. So a lot of things are likely going to change because of the political pressure. Construction costs are coming down. You know, we see lumber prices significantly lower than they were this time last year. There's other costs that we're starting to see come down. So they're all those things are kind of going in the right direction. But balance this all off by the fact there's just an enormous amount of demand sitting behind sort of the current interest rate and cost environment. And any signs of lower costs, we think we're going to see that pickup in demand show up in housing starts. So we're extremely bullish over what the next 2, 3, and even 5 years looks like. But it's uncertain what the next 6 months looks like. But as bad as everybody thinks it is right now, if this is as bad as it gets, things are pretty good, because if this is the low of the cycle, God help us what the upside of the cycle looked like. All right, Jills, I think we're getting close to the end here. Administrative and office expenses are up $253,000 over the previous quarter. Is the increase entirely due to acquisition activity? Will that increased cost also show up in July and August of 2023? This someone will ask Melissa. Maybe we'll ask Melissa sort of maybe a breakdown of some of the increase in costs in the last quarter. Melissa?
Yeah, there was a big chunk of it that is related to the acquisition activity. The rest, unfortunately, is inflation. So more, even drilling down more specifically, insurance costs and just being able to cover our business substantially to make sure that nothing goes wrong here. But there is a chunk that was due to the acquisition, and you'll see a bigger chunk of the increase over our full G&A expenses coming into Q3 related to, and I'll be sure to specify those in the management discussion and analysis document.
Yeah, and I think in the last MD&A, I mean, there was a mention of the fact that we started sort of preparing for this acquisition and future acquisitions by bolstering some of our HR staff and some of the other sort of reporting requirement systems and all these things you can imagine that are necessary as you increase the amount of staff that we just did and all the reporting requirements that we have with another facility located across the country. So just more or less normal increases that are required to continue to keep pace with the kind of business we're building. Okay, so operating free cash flow in the working capital section. What is the difference between customer deposits and deposits? We're getting into Melissa type questions here. Could you explain why $883,000 was deducted from the working capital? Is that related to the acquisition? Back to you, Melissa.
Yeah, so the deposit line is related to the acquisition. As soon as we completed due diligence, there was an agreed upon deposit due of the 1.1 million. And that's kind of the bulk of that. The other flip side is customer deposits. So that's internally. When we deal with brand new customers, we tend to get deposits from them, ensure that their capital is there and they're moving forward with the job with us. So those are the difference. And that creates that difference.
Perfect. Okay, another question from Gilles. This may be a Hadi question. Can you give us more detail in regards to the large wall panel contract of $850,000? Are the wall panels to be used in the construction of one large building or several houses? What are the revenues from this contract spread over? Why are the revenues spread over 3 quarters? And will LCF help with this contract?
No, we're doing that from our operations in Ontario, and it's one large multifamily building. And that's what it was. And it takes a while. They had lots of delays to start the building, but right now we are through shipping and building and shipping it right now.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Wow. I think it's the last question. What impact is the higher interest rates having on the home builders' ability to build to the demand when they have to borrow to build? So this is probably the most critical piece when it comes to interest rates, is even more so than the buyer's ability to buy using loans. Builders do not go out there most builders don't have the cash to go and start these projects, and these tend to be very sort of capital intensive even before you get anywhere close to starting the build, right? So all the permitting, the design, all that sort of stuff, the land you have to have in place, it's very expensive. And so that effect, that sort of soft cost effect, and the interest rate on that soft cost is a real impediment to builders really getting active out there and starting to build. So we think that, as interest rates go down, that allows that builder to have significantly more confidence to go out and start these projects. And so many projects now are based on, especially sort of condominium or multi-dwelling unit type of building, is you can pre-purchase, or what's the word? Can't remember what it's called now. So what's that?
Yeah, it's just you pre-buy it.
Yeah, you sort of purchase in advance with a small deposit. That obviously indicates the demand, but to get there, you gotta significantly, you have to put up a significant amount of money, and interest rates have a major impact on that. So the answer is yes, Vic. Lower interest rates are going to have a positive effect on their ability to start projects. Wow. So I think we answered all the questions that came in. No, we got a late one here from Russell. It sounds like the current slowdown isn't that bad. What type of increased demand could you take on a percentage basis? So that's really what I want to stress, is that, like I said, I keep saying, if this is as bad as it gets, my gosh, we're pretty ecstatic. The increase in demand, I mean, it really depends on how fast it comes. If it comes, in a sort of relatively consistent way, then it's relatively easy to handle it. But the concern always is, if all the builders wanted to start tomorrow, it's you have a hard time satisfying that demand, and all of a sudden your lead times get pushed back quite a ways. So how do you? Is there another way to sort of substantiate that? Like, what more could we do? What's a kind of capacity availability do we have? We're not running at full capacity right now. That's pretty obvious.
No, we could increase it by 50%. Like, it will cause a lot of hard work and stress and stuff on operations to increase that, but they're capable of doing that. We can increase it by 40-50%. And really, at the end of it, it's not that bad. The world is not going to end, and business is great, and it's good. And then I have more anxiety about when the floodgate open, and then trying to catch up. And it won't happen. That's what the anxious is. But right now, it's great. It's not like what we were a year ago. We had to deal with supplies, but truckload never. For a surprise, you didn't know when you're going to get it. Nobody could promise you delivery. Right now, it's business as normal, and you deal with the normal day-to-day challenges. But at the end of the future, in our industry and in Canada, stuff is bright. It's amazing, actually, and we just have to pay less attention to the news out there all the time, and deal with the facts. And the facts are more people moving here, more people want to buy homes. More people want to buy cars. More people want to do everything. So it's time to stop listening to all the junk out there and the bad news and all that. People trying to sound very smart, and just enjoy the moment and just keep building.
Yeah, exactly. And get out where business is happening and ask questions there. Yeah. Okay, we'll make this the last question. But what are the biggest things that you think that the current Atlas team can learn from the LCF team, and maybe vice versa?
Well, we covered that a lot there, but the biggest one for me is to learn is being able to ship the whole package, manufacture. That way, every client we have, they're going to buy the walls, the trusses, and the floor system from us, and ship it with efficiency. That's one of the biggest things we can learn from it. Otherwise, culture, everything, we can go back and forward. We're just the same. We are the same people. Most of us, we have accent. I have accent. They have accents too, right? We are the same. But what they do, they mastered shipping trusses, walls, and floors together on a truck. So instead of shipping a truck with one load of trusses, they put 3 loads on there. That's one of the big contributions to the margins, by the way. One driver delivers 3 different products. and the revenues multiplied by 4 or 5 times. That's one of the major contributions to a dollar value, right? That's the biggest thing we can learn from them and teach it for the rest of our operation, because that's untouchable.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, a truck leaves an Atlas facility probably with $5,000 worth of product on it. It leaves an LCF facility with probably $20,000 to $25,000 worth of product on it. Now, if you imagine that impact across the country and all the other facilities, you can see what we're talking about in terms of some of the organic growth opportunities that are in front of us. So
yeah,
we have an example. This isn't, hey, one day we hope to be able to do it. We're doing it now, based out of New Brunswick, and now it's just a matter of executing that plan in the rest of the country. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes one driver to pull to drive the truck. It takes one shipper to organize. Same as now, since we bought Hightech, we had one shipper in Nanaimo Atlas plant. Now she manages both factories and manages the shipping and climate. It's just, that's the scale. Those are the kind of scale most of the time we don't even see that. But those are the scales we have and stuff there. And really, that's one of the biggest things we got to learn from it, that we will learn from it, that the future is here right now. It's not some kind of a dream or some wishful thinking. The future is here. The only reason we are not doing it at the end is because of us not willing to do it. Otherwise, if somebody else is doing it. So we are not asking you to do the impossible. We are not asking the team to do. That is the future, and it will benefits everybody then. The investors, the builders, the clients that buy homes, everybody will get the benefit from it.
Everybody wins. Yeah,
absolutely.
Hadi, this has been great. I mean, we spent well over an hour and a half. We covered a lot of things. Is there any last things you want to say? Is there any what do you want to make sure everybody kind of walks away with today?
Actually, just thank you for giving me the time again, doing our annual calls, and and I appreciate everybody being AEP fan since the beginning. And I promise you guys, we're going to go places, and we are on our way. And next year, this time will be a much different company. And hopefully by that time, we are over the $100 million micro cap, and we're talking something bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm really excited to have the team on this call too. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
And our team and our vision is growing all over the place. And I have a special love for you and your team on this call and all your group and stuff there. And I appreciate all your questions and everything. And thank you for being a fan. And we won't let you down. We will never let you down.
Awesome. I love it. I mean, we've got a history of Hadi coming on, telling us what he wants to accomplish here, and now to see it being executed, and obviously with the team here to join us as well. I obviously couldn't be happier as a big shareholder and director and a good friend of yours. I love what you're doing. Continued success. I'm grateful that we know each other and that we can be part of this journey. And couldn't be happier that we can share it with all the members here. So Hadi, on my behalf and everybody at SCD, I want to thank you.
I just sorry. I mean, and honestly, I'm glad you said it. For this one to me is a special, because everybody, I've been the mouthpiece, and I've been doing the introduction and stuff there. And it's not just me; there is the team on this call too there. And Melissa, Gurmeet, and Jasmine on the call, and especially Melissa, Gurmeet. They've been with me for years and years, and it's all of us. It's all the team that's part of the team. And this call was special for me for them being on the call and stuff there. And I appreciate it, because it's all of us we doing it. This is a collaborative dream we all have.
Yeah.
And including you and your investor. This is a collaborative thing there. And it's a pretty amazing experience to go through the challenges and making the dream happen. And we are not there yet. We're going to be there sooner or later. We are way on the way right now, way on the way.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to thank Hadi, Jasmine, Melissa, and Gurmeet. Thank you all for joining us today. It's always wonderful to catch up, and we're looking forward to doing this in the not too distant future. Maybe the next deal, maybe the next quarter, but we'll catch up. We'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the weather while it lasts. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.